friends and purple spooners. We are, myself and my dear friend over in the background there, Lesley, we are back for the second time to show you how to cook on a very small budget. We did do the filming ourselves last time, and many of you gave your feedback and suggested that it was perhaps not the most professional of setups. So we are now joined by our fabulous friend Gabriel, and he's going to help us do some nicely filmed ones with proper sound, etc, etc. So we're starting off with a chicken special. So I sent Lesley off to the supermarket with £13, and with that 13 quid, I actually got some change as well. She bought a list of things. Here you go. And out of these things, I will read them off in a second. She is now going to demonstrate how to make 5 meals for a family of 4 plus a dessert. So, chicken, butter, real butter. Lesley says that you are, yes, a treat every now and again, and butter's something that you can make things taste absolutely divine with. Greek yogurt, short crust pastry, coconut milk, a punnet of mushrooms, a loaf of cheapy bread, some onions, potatoes, leeks, swede, carrots. This sometimes you will find in a wonky veg box in Morrison's for 3 quid or so, and then a tin of peaches, tinned peaches. And all of that we're going to show you how to transform into 5 meals for a family of 4.
Okay, so a brief explanation of the mess on the table. This is my basic store cupboard. Yours is going to be different. So if you want me to cook with something in your store cupboard, message Kate at Purple Spoon and I'll make sure it's included. So I've always got red and green lentils, but because we're here, I'm using tinned. I got this one cheap because it's bashed, so that's even better. So I've always got pasta of some kind, a rice, tinned tomatoes, never without tinned tomatoes. And occasionally even I do fancy beans on toast, so I've got a tin of beans. And I like tinned sweet corn. And as one of the meals today are either going to be sort of Italian or sort of Indian, I got this. Now when I say sort of meals, I've pared the meals down to so basic that I didn't call them Indian or Italian or Chinese. They're just
inspired.
They're the best way to do this. This is not only, it's not only that it's cheap, we're getting 5 meals for less than £13. Actually, I'm trying to make it 5 meals and not 27. But all this mess is going to be for about an hour and a half. And then for 5 days, there is no mess. All the washing up is going to be today, now, when I've finished. And then for 5 days, it's just the plates. And honestly, your meals are going to be that fabulous, your kids should be washing the dishes. So I've got eggs. Right, we're staying with the basic spice packs we had last time, although I am going to be introducing a couple of little things. So the basic was star anise. That's in case we go Chinese or anything like that. Thyme. I do love the taste of the thyme on potatoes, and as you see, on the butternut squash that Kate forgot I'd bought. A curry mix. I've picked these because these are 39p in our Purple Deli. I suspect any of our Eastern European shops have these, but 39p. So garlic, paprika, cumin. I never go anywhere without my cumin, even on holiday. This one is just a mix, and I call it my Italian mix. And it's basically just a mix of all the spices. I've got dried garlic and dried chili in there as well. And that pumps up anything, that one, that's really good. So I haven't spent a lot. If you went out and bought 5 of these, 5 fours, it's 2 quid. Okay, for all the spices we're going to need. Of course, we've got salt and pepper. My equipment, as I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple white sauce today, I think one of the things that stops people making their own white sauce is they're worried what happens if it goes lumpy. With one of these, you need never worry. You just push it through, catches the lumps. A rolling pin in case I get time to do some flatbreads. A very fine grater. I love my fine graters. A knife. A vegetable peeler. I'm left-handed, so I prefer this one. My husband's right-handed and prefers that one. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, because we've got to get it in the oven, is just show you the butternut squash. Now, what I've done with this, I've mixed garlic powder and my Italian mix with my old friend butter. And as tight as I am, one of the ways, if you're lactose intolerant, is butter. It just gives it a whole depth of flavour. So what I've done...
Olive oil's fine. Olive oil's fine.
Olive oil is fine.
Or any oil for that matter.
Pounding palm foods. Right, so I've Hasselback this, and once I've
Lesley,
done...
what does Hasselback mean?
Hasselback's so simple. If you're worried about you 2 chopsticks, 2 knife handles, either side of your potato. That's all you have to do. Can you see that? And all you're doing is thinly slicing. Can you see this is taking me no time at all? I'm turning this round because I'm slow butt. And these just stop you going right through to the board. Right, so that's what I've done. Can you see? Now what this means is I've melted the butter, but olive oil will do, with the herbs, and I've got them in there. It can be any herbs. I love thyme like this as well.
Also works with cheese as well, doesn't it? I mean, I've done a cheesy Hasselback in the past.
Yeah, when you want to get really fancy, you can start alternate wedging things in that and making it the king of Hasselback. So what I've done is this, and you can see here, I've made sure the herbs and spices have got right into those cuts. And all this is going to do is put flavour into. I don't care how cheap your food is, there's no excuse to have it not tasting scrummy. So we're just going to throw that in my little cooker, which is why I have to do it now. If you've got to pin me down on a temperature, gas mark 3 to 4, work out the electricity yourself, Google is your friend. The first thing you have to learn about cooking is just have confidence. All through this one, thank you, I want to do what I'm going to call cooking bloops, and to show you how to get out of the cooking bloop. The cooking bloop today is going to be lumpy white sauce, and you can guarantee I'm not going to be able to get it lumpy, but I'm just going to show you how to solve it. Right, we've got to get rid of this chicken because I don't like it on the table with all my other food. So what I'm going to show you to do is how to dissect this chicken, because I've been tasked with getting 5 meals out of it. Okay, so I'm left-handed, so that's the first strike against me. I'm not going to be doing this properly. Second strike against me. No, I don't think any chef does a chicken like I do, but I found this the easiest way to do it. So all we're going to do is put our knife in, and then you can see we can follow the bone round, turn it upside down if it makes it easier. Kate does not like this bit. Have to just crack it, and all I've cracked it for is to bring that bone out there. So that's one.
One leg, including the thigh.
Now,
is that right? The thigh's
yes,
there as well. Yeah.
Thigh's there as well. Christmas, if you want to have your crown of turkey, buy a whole turkey. Don't spend a fortune on a crown. It's just as easy. So that's our 2 legs.
2 legs. Is that 1 meal?
2 meals.
Right, okay, for 4 people.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Wow, incredible.
It's in the way you cut the meat, because you're cutting it really small.
Right.
And we eat meat nowadays with no thought for anything. But this is not only a tight way of cooking, we're being eco-conscious. If something's got to have died for us, let's make it worth their while.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so that's my wing. Sorry I didn't explain that, I'll do it now. Again, the same thing. I'm just making an incision in the skin, and that's so I can see it. I'm using my finger to find out where the joint meets. Right. There we go. And cut that off. That's 2
Okay,
wings.
2 wings. This chicken
Okay.
was $2.99 in Farm Foods.
Now,
just for was it a small chicken or were they
a
not
small
sized?
chicken.
Okay, small
Yeah.
chicken,
Now,
$2.99.
that's because I had a budget, but I would prefer buying a free-range chicken, which is actually bigger, but a lot more expensive, and having less meat. Now, when I'm cutting all this off, I'm really not worrying about leaving meat on the bone. If I was doing this as a chef, I would really worry about the amount of meat I'm leaving on the bone. I'll show you why I'm not bothered now. That's one breast, and that's the second breast. Yeah, they're caramelized. Right, so you can see there's a lot of meat on this bone. I'm really not worried because this is the first meal. I'm just cutting it in half. It's actually the first part of the second meal. Because I haven't got pre-cooked food here, because one of the requisites is we don't want to waste food. So this is going to go into something that I've already put the swede and the carrots and the onions in.
Okay, would you like to pop
So
it in here?
that's going
and then
there.
so I'm going to go and take this and pop it into a stock pot. Is that the one? The stew
And that's
pot.
the stew pot there.
So I'm just going to go and take it and put it over there.
And I'm going to cut these thighs down.
Let me just get some.
Right, Morrison's bought me this. So you can
what's in there
see,
so far?
right, so you can see I've got a lovely goo in here of leeks, onions, garlic, carrots, swede.
And butter. So
Our
we'll do
bones
that.
go in,
All of it?
yeah,
Both parts?
both of them.
Wow. Oh,
Okay,
lovely jubbly. And lid goes on.
lid goes on. I've got it on for 30 minutes, but it's not going to take that long. It's not just, this one's a slow cooker, pressure cooker. I think you can make bread and cake in it as well. Morrison's bought me this because I've been taking it around showing people how to cook. And I was taking my great big cumbersome one, and they gave me this as a gift, so that was really nice of them. So never ever be scared while I'm here. Don't be scared of them. People are often scared, and it's because when the heat goes and you move the steamer over it, don't worry about it. Just switch it off at the plug, walk away, have a cup of tea, make some bread, put your feet up, watch Loose Women, come back, flick that switch over, and on its own it will have got rid of all the steam.
Okay.
So that's the meal 1 and 2.
And that's very hearty chicken
That's
stew.
chicken stew.
Is this French inspired?
This is just an English chicken stew, so that's how you could eat it if you wanted.
a nice bit of bread.
You name the nationality, yes. But what I'd like to do with this one is take it one step further and thicken it at the end with a garlic mayonnaise, which sounds revolting, and I must admit the first time I heard I thought,
No, I can see
it's
it.
lush, absolutely, and you can get tons of garlic in that. Second meal would be when I strip all the chickens down, I'll take the bones out, use the leftover juices of this, redo all the bones with fresh onions and stuff like that, and make a soup. So that was 2 meals out of those
So a
bones.
stew and a soup.
Stew and a soup,
Wow.
okay? I've cut this off, I'll do this one now. And these are normally not any good for anything, but I do save them, and they go in with my bones because there's stock in there. So lots of flavour. So there's one. So all I've done is again crack, crunch right through, and I've got 2. In our house, one of our biggest treats is wing night. I love it. So I would be tempted to put these in a bag in the freezer until I got enough for wing night. But it's still a meal. So it could be the meat for your risotto or your biryani.
Yeah.
That's enough meat
You
on
don't-
there.
yeah, you don't need a
You
lot,
don't
do you?
need a lot
No.
because we're bulking that with mushrooms, leeks, carrots, vegetables. Right. Next one. Again, cut the flesh the skin. That's it. This one's only a really dirty chicken. Today, there was really not many chickens about. So I'm only going to do that once because you've seen it. And again, you might not want to bother cutting the meat off these, but you could just poach the meat off them.
What do you mean by that?
Poach, that's, I'll show you when I bring out the chicken I've done.
Okay.
So then that is another risotto or biryani or some kind of food like that. One of the things I'm going to do today is like a spag bowl, but instead of using minced beef, I'm going to be using chicken.
Okay.
So we've got 2 wings, 2 thighs, and again, take these bones out. These would be absolutely lovely. Take the bone out. It's not difficult. We don't have to do this professional. And again, don't worry about leaving meat on because these bones would have gone in that stew pot with the other, but because we're out of time, right, so I've just cut that. Doesn't matter I've left meat on because that's going in the soup or the stew.
In the pot.
So we've got our bone thigh. Didn't take us long. Now if you do some stuffing up, tomatoes, quinoa, falafel, you name it, anything. I've just felt a little bone in there. Just get him out. Left the knuckle in. Anything, wrap it up. Then you've got some bacon, bit of streaky bacon or your posh Italian stuff. Wrap it up, wrap it around, and that's a lovely little parcel. And you know, if you want a special meal, I think it's 8 of these chicken thighs are £2 something.
Yeah.
So you could do 8 of these, arrange them beautifully in a dish, just cook them down in the oven.
Yeah.
Gas mark 3 to 5, I get 3 to 4 again. Everything's 3 to 4. And there you go, another meal.
Okay, so now Lesley has shown us the chicken, how she separated it all. And out of this, we're going to create 5 meals. So meal number 1 is actually the stew that we did earlier on. So that's the carcass of the chicken. So that's over there, meal 1. That's a nice hearty meal. Then we have the 2 breasts. One of them is going to be help me out here, the chicken pasta dish, the tomato-based chicken pasta, which please don't tell any Italians, you don't have chicken with pasta. I think it's illegal, but we do here. It's fine.
We're Bridgwater.
Then we've got the 2 drumsticks and 1 thigh. We're going to make a biryani out of this. This is an Indian-based dish. It's like a dry curry. It's not very saucy, and that's eaten with rice. So that's also a nice meal. And the meat that will come off of this will be plenty for 4. Then we have this, which is the other breast, plus the little bits and I think these are the thigh fillets, aren't they? No, what are these?
Or they were the
some sort of
the breast fillets.
The skinny
Yes,
breasts,
yeah.
yeah. So this we're going to make into a chicken and mushroom pie. And these at the end, we've got the 2 wings and the remaining drumstick, the thigh. And we're going to make this into a savoury bread and butter pudding.
I always bring with me my onions that I've cooked down because your onions are the first layer of your flavour. So I've got them in here, and I did wash my hands from the raw chicken. So that's just my onions and my leeks sweating away. Now, Kate is going to take the chicken away because I'm all clean.
Yeah.
And because we haven't got time, what I did was I poached one, and I did this so we can virtually be instant cooking. It's not going to have the same amount of flavour or texture perhaps, but now I've poached it, which Kate asked me to explain. I'm no chef, trust me. So what I did was I've gently poached it in my machine, just barely covered with stock, to which I added the leeks, the carrot. I had some old celery, so I put that in, and some onions. And I just gently poached it for about 20 minutes. So now, clean knife, keen board. Again, I'm going to do the same thing, but you can see now it's so much easier. So I'm getting my leg. I mean, if I ate this as a roast dinner, I mean, I should imagine the chicken would do you one meal. My 2 breasts. Now, this carcass wouldn't go to waste. It would make another stew or soup. And don't forget, all the bones would have gone in the stew and soup. We've only used the carcass. And there's my breast. Now, I'm going to be getting Kate to cut more meat off of this. Make sure she gets these for my pie.
Yep.
The oyster, the chef's favourite. And this juice, all this juice that's coming out.
You don't get rid of that.
Look at that, that's lush.
So I'm going to take that away. What
So-
do you need now?
So I'd like, if possible, as much meat pulled off of this as
Yeah,
possible
no worries.
for my biryani.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'll have the juice from the gravy of the pie.
Okay. And I'll leave you here to do
My thing.
your thing. Alrighty then.
Right, okay, so what I've done is I've got my onion base, which you can see are cooked down that much. They're nice and brown. I've added my leeks in because I want that different level of flavour. I want them to be a bit fresher. And I'm just bunging the mushrooms in. Now, with the mushrooms, I bought a bigger box because I'm going to get some more meals out of this before Kate comes back, but not here. Now, see these ones I've taken the cap out of? I've gone through this family box. They do smaller boxes, but mushrooms mean flavour. So I'd take these out, okay? And I'd put them to one side. And anything I've got left over, I would stuff these with. So if I've got leftover rice over, or couscous, quinoa, anything like that, bit of tomato sauce, I'd stuff these, cover them with a bit of cheese, and just bake them in the oven. So that's another meal from this box. Don't tell her I've done one more than 5. She'll kill me. So, add in, now, these are thin mushrooms. These I'm just going to quarter mushrooms. And the reason I'm doing this is just to get different textures in there. If you want to keep the stalks, don't forget we did say as well we're going to make soup from the bones after the stew. So I'd put all those stalks in the soup, extra flavour. So there we go, we've just got that going away. And now I'm going to put the milk on. This is a bit hectic, I know. So I've got the milk on, and we could make a proper roux, which is butter and plain flour, then add the milk, but I'm doing the quick version. And don't forget, if it goes lumpy, I'm really not worried, because I would pour it straight onto my mix through the sieve, and that would catch the... So what I need now is 1 chicken breast. Kate's not here to remind me. That skin wouldn't go to waste, that would go in my stock pot. I'm just cutting the chicken up. Now, normally you kind of like want nice big hefty chunks, but here we're going for frugality as well as having the taste of chicken. Can you see how lovely and tender that chicken is? It's really lovely. And all this means is I don't have to spend time over there cooking, because we've not got a lot of time to knock 5 out. We're really making this go as far as we possibly can. So that's my meat. So that goes in as well. Now, if you want to bulk this out even more, I could have put my sweet corn in it. But this is where I have to fess up that I forgot to bring my pie dish. So we're going to have to make a little individual one. But this, you can see how much is in here. If you want to bulk it out some more, if you've got more than 4 people, use your tin peas, tin sweet corn, anything else that you've got. Now, while the milk is coming up to boil, I'll show you how to do this. This is comparatively easy. What we need is some salt, pepper, herbs of your choice. I'm using these because I've actually got them here. There we go. Now see, I've got these, this is always in my stock cupboard, they come so handy. So one of these pieces of pepper cut up into small pieces would actually look quite pretty in this pie. So I get a spoon, I pour my sweet corn into my milk. Now this basic white sauce can be used for savoury. If you're doing a fruit pie and you want to thicken the juices up, just don't put the salt and the herbs and spices. There we go. You will have noticed that I didn't put pepper in, but thanks. So you can see my milk is coming to the boil, it's getting nice and bubbly. Don't be scared about making these sauces. I know corn flour is a little bit extra to buy, but corn flour comes in really handy. And also if your child has got, if it's feeling a bit icky in any way, a corn flour custard does settle the stomach. But you could quite easily have made this with the flour. I think Gabriel also makes your sauce this way, don't you? So we just pour it in and let it thicken. And like I say, my blooper moment would be, there's 2 things that could go wrong. You could burn the bottom by having the heat up too high like I have, or you can see how this is going nice and thick, or it could go lumpy, in which case just grab a sieve. Grab a sieve if your gravy goes lumpy, if your custard goes lumpy, grab a sieve. Don't panic about it at all. And if it burns, just call it chicken pie from Provence. It always has that lovely aroma of wood smoke. There we go. So that's it. That's my white sauce made. I think that took me a couple of minutes. Can you see? And all I do is throw that on there. And mix it up. Now, do you know what? I didn't want to open up this, but I just think, looking at...
That's just a random tin that you get in your...
This is in my store cupboard. I really, yeah.
Peppers in oil.
I absolutely love them. Now, can you see what difference that's made? If you've got a bit of parsley, chuck that in. There we go. So this is our Bridgie chicken pie. Celebrate, there we go. Now, I'm cheating. If you haven't got pastry, I'm going to show you a few different toppings. So perhaps I didn't forget my pie dish, perhaps I did it on purpose. Normally, before you put pastry on this, you normally let it go cold. Kate's going to slap a bit of ready rolled, because nobody's got time to make pastry anymore.
Ready rolled pastry, which was on our shopping list earlier.
Yes, so I bought it with the shopping list, and I'm actually going to get, even though I'm only using a little bit, even if I was doing this full size, I'd get 2 meals out of it. And I'll show you how. So with this next pie, I could either use the slice of white bread and cut the crust off and roll it out thin, spread it with a little butter, put it on top, pie crust, or I've got some leftover mash. And this mash actually is not leftover. Morrison's gave it to me for the community meal on a Thursday. It's just to make it look a bit pretty. Just because food doesn't cost a lot, it can still look pretty. So that's the pie. Anything left over, we could have put in our mushrooms. If you've got those hard bread rolls, cut a little hole on the top, hollow it out, fill it with that and some mashed potatoes, put the lid on, paint it with garlic butter, another meal. Right, so next, let's get this one in. In my thing was also two tomatoes, well, 3 tomatoes. And you can see I've put a bit of salt on them. And the reason I've done that is because I want to get that water gone, okay? So let's pull that water away. In my shopping was also 1 courgette. So what I'm going to do, before Kate comes back and tells me off, I might get Kate to finish this off. It's another meal to do with that leftover pastry we've got. So Kate is going to finish this off. The courgette I've just sprinkled with my herb mix. Are you there?
I am.
I need you.
Okay, I'm just putting this in the oven.
Now, you needn't do it as fancy as this.
Look at this.
But
This is
Kate's,
nice.
yeah, Kate's going to finish this off.
Oh, right, I see.
Because she's going to tell me off that I threw another
What am I
meal
doing?
in.
Just going around?
You're just doing it in a
You
circle.
just snuck in another meal.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I'm just going around in
You
a
just
circle.
in a circle. Make sure
and
it's
that's
all
it.
filled. That's all you do. And then we can get that in the oven. It doesn't matter if the pastry doesn't fit. I'm not a posh chef. Tuck it in. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my pie to bed. So there we go. I've put my veg to bed. See, as I've opened my peppers, I'm going to use them. So chop my peppers up small. I've got my onions going. I put my tomatoes in. You can see I've used the same pan. But you can also see at the end of this heroic cooking, I'll have 3 saucepans and 1 frying pan to wash up. I'm doing the Italian first because I don't really want the Indian flavour going into my Italian pasta. Now, can you see how quick this has been to cook? So we've got some extra garlic. I've just cut it up small. I put the pepper in for a bit of depth of colour. At home, I would have put some tomato puree in this and cooked it off a bit longer. But tomato puree, in my humble opinion, needs cooking down. And I really haven't got the time today. So there we go. That is the pasta made. I am just going to put my herbage in there. I'm going to put a bit of smoked paprika in there as well because I want to give it a little bit of taste. I haven't got any salt in there yet, and stupidly I left my salt pot at home. But I got my grinder. Right, so that can go in. Can you see how small we've cut the meat again? It's emulating minced beef, so it's as small as you want to go. Black pepper would be good in here, but it's okay. Right, there we go. It's got to cook down a little bit more for those mushrooms to cook, but that could be glugging away while you were talking. Now again, if you want to pump this out, put more tomatoes in it, but I want to keep a tomato to show you the biryani. So bump it out with more tomatoes, more mushrooms, put some courgettes in there. Here we go. Nice and small. Grate them in if you wanted. Carrots would go lovely in here. It would make it actually sweeter. So there we go. That just gives you an idea of the colour. And you could serve this with pasta, like a spag bowl, or you could pour it on penne, then cover it with mozzarella cheese, bake it in the oven. There's no ends to this one. Pretend this is your leftovers. So you can put it in a jacket potato, do what you want with it. One of the things I do with it is I put it in a dish like this. Okay, I make a hole in the centre. Now this makes a light lunch with some crunchy bread, some pasta, a pasta-y thing, for supper, for tea, but it's a fabulous breakfast dish. Get a nice bit, and if you're doing it for breakfast, a nice hit of chilli on it is lush. And that is gorgeous, served with crusty bread. So that is breakfast, lunch, tea, and it's the leftovers from the pasta dish we've just done. Okay, so the next one is Indian. Now this could have been like a risotto or a paella, but because I've got leftover lentil curry, which is just green lentils, I roasted up the butternut squash. So this is the leftover Hasselback butternut squash, cut up small, some leftover roasted carrots, which you'll see in a minute when we photograph at the end. So because I've already got the makings of an Indian type meal here, this is going to be Indian. So onions in again, and I'm hoping this is the last meal because we're on the last knockings of the onions. Right, one of my favourite herbs, which is cumin. This is not authentic in any way whatsoever. This is a curry mix I make myself, but you can get the 39p one. So a little bit of my curry mix in there. Any curry mix will do. And I want a bit of garlic in there. So it's just an Indian type rice dish that we're bunging whatever we've got to make our life think. Now, and normally I would use the rice, an Uncle Ben coconut, and an Uncle Ben pilau. So that gives us a bit of pretties already. Now we're going for colour. I've got some apricots. These are not dyed, so they're lovely and soft. Any apricots. If you've got some raisins, you don't have to put fruit in here at all. I'm doing it because I've got it. I had a bit of tomato left, didn't I? So that's going in. I'm not going to put the courgette in, but I am going to put mushrooms. Now I've got carrots left over, so these are nice little ones. So they're going in. In goes our meat. This would take a bit longer if you used plain rice, not cooked rice. And because it's open and it's a nice bit of colour, I'm going to put some of this pepper in. The biryani is just coming up to temperature, and I'm grating some garlic into some mayonnaise to finish off my stew. This is, you don't have to do this. If you don't fancy it, just have the stew as is. Okay, so that's my lots and lots of garlic. I've put 3. Mix it up. This is then garlic mayonnaise, which you can use in wraps, dips. I've got the juice from the chicken. I'm just going to pour that in. Normally I'd let my stew water cool a little to slake the mayo down so it didn't split when it went into the pan. But we're time thing. So I'm going to put that by in the vain hope Kate comes back out and rescues me. So that's the mayonnaise done. So this is the one that was made with the leftovers from the pasta sauce with the egg in it. You don't need to put the egg in it, and this could be completely vegan, and it can be used for breakfast, where maybe called shakshuka, a light lunch or tea or supper. So this is bread pudding, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the sweet version, and we're going to talk about the savoury version. So however many eggs you've got, now can you see I've done an oops moment, I've got the yolk in there. I'm not panicking about it. I've done it again. Shells are magic. You put the shell in there and it catches the break. The eggshells have actually got a lot of calcium in them, so if you scrunch them up and put them in water, I feed them back to my chickens, but put them in water, and that's good water for your plants and stuff like that. I'm using yogurt, so yogurt, have we got any milk? What this actually shows you is it doesn't matter if you haven't got the right stuff. Now this is going to be the sweet one, so I'm not putting salt and pepper. If it was the savoury one, and I want you to think that I'm doing the savoury one at the same time, I would be putting plenty of flavour in there. So we're going to be talking about the savoury one, but actually doing the sweet one. Now, this is using the loaf of bread. We often get loaves of bread really cheap. You can make this the sweet version. I'm cutting this on the diagonal, and the reason being, I want some of it to stick up. What I'm going to do, I've got jam, I've got the peaches, okay? If I was doing the savoury one, this is my ends of meal, and think of that as a sausage, some chopped up bacon, some cheese, and some garlic sausage. And you've got the savoury one that's actually cooking. So what I want to do is get flavour in each level. The sweet one, I'm letting it soak up that bread. Now you could, once it's soaked up this, you could fry this in butter. Sprinkle it with cinnamon sugar. Right, I'm just putting it in there. Now, clean spoon, because I want to go into my jam pot. And sort as if I'm putting jam on my bread. No fuss. I just want layer upon layer of flavour. This time I'm going to put peaches. Again with the soak it up. This is one of the puddings that's best done today for tomorrow, because leaving it overnight, the bread really sucks up all that moisture and it sort of souffles. You've got chocolate spread and marmalade. This would make quite a big pudding for a family of 4 with a tin of peaches. This bread was 35p a loaf, but I often see it in the supermarket for 10p a loaf, or even free on the oleo sites. And that's when this pudding comes into its all. So I'm putting the next layer on, layer and layer. I haven't put any sugar, basically because I haven't got a sweet tooth. So the jam would be plenty for me. Like I said, it could be lemon curd, it could be marmalade. Serve it with custard, ice cream. Next layer, I've got the peaches. I think this one was because Kate said she had a tin of peaches in her cupboard and no idea what to do with them. So this is quite an idea, because a tin of peaches would not feed a family of 4, would it? Whereas a loaf of bread and a tin of peaches and a bit of jam. Put sugar on it if you want to. I don't particularly want to. And we want some of the peaches on the top as well, because we want them to like caramelize and roast. Put this in the oven to cook, and then about 10 minutes before you bring it out, that's when I'd put a little bit of sugar on the top, just to make it go all nice and crunchy. And now can you see? Finish it off. There's no sugar at all in this. I would put it in at the end. Right, so let me just explain the savoury one. So we're doing it the same way, okay? It's in there so you're going to see it. But this time, each layer has savoury on it. So it gets salt, and not a lot of salt, but plenty of pepper, cheese, whatever meat you've got, and we would have had the chicken. Normally this is when I use, say I've got a rasher of bacon, a sausage, and these 2 knob ends of cheese. This would make a meal full. So we've got that much bacon, 1 sausage, and then you just break it up like we did there. Each layer gets different flavours on it. We've got salt and pepper in the egg yogurt mix. We can put herbs in it if you want. You can do whatever you want with it. Right, so there's our stew. Now I'm going to stir my garlic mayo in. And this is going to take it from bog standard stew. To serve this, I'd want lots of parsley. Right, there we go. There we go. I'm serving it in the garlic mayo thing because I'm hoping I get to eat this, and I want the more garlic mayo the better. Can you see how lovely that looks? I don't know if I love leeks because I'm Welsh or they're just stunning. So just put some braised leeks on the side. If I was doing these in visitors, I wouldn't use my hands.
Okay, right, so from the shopping list that we went through earlier on, which involved a chicken and other bits and bobs, we made 5 meals each for 4 people, family of 4. So we made a chicken stew out of the carcass of the chicken. Out of one breast, we made a sauce, a tomato-based sauce, which we've served here with pasta. Out of the legs and a thigh, we made a bread and butter pudding, savoury bread and butter pudding. Out of another breast and the mushrooms, we made the pies. One's got a potato topping and one's got a pastry topping. Obviously, we've got enough pie filling to make a family-sized one. Same goes with everything else. And then out of the wings and another thigh piece, we made chicken biryani, which is an Indian dish, and we've served it with some naan bread that I found in the freezer. But we can make flatbread out of the cupboard staples, easy peasy. And then whilst I was sent off, so that was the 5 dishes from chicken, and whilst Lesley sent me off into the kitchen to run errands, she snuck in from the leftover pastry and some sad looking vegetables that she had in her fridge. She knocked out a tart tatin, which is an upside down French pastry.
Just a couple of tomatoes. Yeah.
Tomatoes and a courgette.
And a
bit of grated cheese on top.
And if you'd have gone out again with the leftover leeks, I would have done the leek one.
Okay.
But you refused.
And with the butternut squash that was in the veg box, she Hasselbacked it and rubbed it with butter and herbs, and then there was some carrots which she chopped. Yeah, so that.
And then you can see how that.
And then with some leftover pasta sauce, she put it in a little ramekin, chucked in an egg, and baked that.
Eggs purgatory, shakshuka,
something Middle Eastern.
That's a really good if you get people unexpectedly for breakfast, lunch, whatever.
And then from the leftover bread and the tin of peaches and the yogurt that we've already used somewhere else, which I now can't remember, a bread and butter pudding. And here is one we made earlier.
And
served with yogurt.
With the leftover bread, a bread pudding, which is really easy. It's just soak it overnight in water, add fruit that you want. This one's actually got marzipan in it, and I can tell you that I think our cameraman really liked it. He's taken that home. I've still got food left over. I've got leftover pastry, which I would have done a leek tatin. I've got a leftover courgette. That's great. An omelette tomorrow. I've got loads of mushrooms left over. Now, don't forget, I said anything that's left over, we'll stuff these. Fabulous. Bit of cheese on the top, roast them up, makes a fabulous dish. I got plenty of potatoes, so that's chips, roast potatoes, wedges. One of my favourites is potato sandwiches. I absolutely love them. So boil your potatoes up, slice them up, raw onions, potato sandwich. I'm going to make, oh, you can't because it's bread. I've got swedes, so I can mash that up with this, or I can roast it with them, or I can make a vegetable stew, so that's another meal for a family of 4, but it's a vegetable stew.
Okay, so just to summarise, here we've got 7 meals, and how much did we spend?
It was, I think it's about £12.50, £12.60.
£12.60, plus obviously relying on some cupboard staples like the actual pasta and odds and sods. But
with the vegetables I got left over would have bought
And
the
then
pasta.
obviously, yeah.
But I'm going to get 2 or 3 meals out of this. I've just seen this and thought, oh, for a real change, I might do a potato pizza.
potato pizza, there
Yeah.
you go. I'll save that for next time.
Yeah, very northern France.
Next time we will like to do the same sort of thing again. We're going to try and stick to a budget of a tenner, and we're going to probably go on to demonstrating vegan and vegetarian dishes. So we're going to cut the meat out entirely, but we'll be able to show you how to make probably. We're going to try and stick to 5 meals, but you know what she's like. It might even be 10 or 12 or even 20
And
or whatever.
don't let the fact that it's vegetarian or vegan, I think it's going to be mostly vegetarian. Don't let that frighten you, because honestly, on community Thursday meals, I very rarely dish up meat and nobody realises. So please don't be worried that it's vegetarian.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. That has been a really, really good demonstration of what you can do with not very much. So I'm going to wind up the video now. In the description below will be all the contact details you need, and any further information I can glean from these guys that I can put in the description will be in there. But in the meantime, until we come back and film the vegetarian stroke vegan extravaganza, this is Gabriel and everybody here saying goodbye, goodbye.
Bye.